Hello everyone, I'm Extra Cheesy 87 and this is Let's Play Miles is Not Annoyed Anymore because it's been a few days since we recorded the last video. The only thing I remember about the last video though is that we finally got tilted. The game finally tilted me with the whole prompt about where you just ignore what the thing they even ask you to do. Just so annoying. Even like looking back again, you might think, oh, after time has passed, has he mellowed out? Has he decided that he's wrong? No. In fact, I think I'm even more right because, even though he's not in this game, because even the hint they give you on that prompt, like when you go through the whole thing and then Edgeworth gives you your little hint, he talks about, is it true that they were related by blood? So they even reinforce that's what you're supposed to be looking for. Not, you know, is the premise factual in the first place? You know, like maybe if the hint was something along those lines, I would be like, oh, maybe I was a little bit more wrong. But I feel like the game even leads you away from that, which is not necessarily a bad thing. But in that case, I feel like it was. Also, here's Pretty Boy Lance. I was kidnapped yesterday morning. They had me shut in that room blindfolded the entire time. But the kidnappers suddenly disappeared around the time I heard rain falling outside. My hands were cuffed, but it was a stroke of luck that they left me alone. I made my escape and ran from that room as fast as I could. Which I'll have you know was actually somewhat below average speed. Not much of a runner. Through the underground passageway, I presume? Are you okay? The human mind is not supposed to be able to make such sounds. Sorry, I didn't really want to recall that horrible ordeal, but now you believe me, right? No, not quite yet. Ah, how can you not? Why do you look at me with such icy daggers in your eyes? Because he's a prosecutor and because they're all like that. I'll have you know, Agent Long, a prosecutor's eyes are for discerning the truth. I mean, as far as the game is concerned, a prosecutor, or as far as the series is concerned, a prosecutor has literally never been right in a court of law. I mean, I guess technically, like, there's the one case you lose, so they're, like, technically correct, but you only lose because you throw it. Well, I guess in that, because I'm trying to, because that's what the last case of the second game. Oh, that's just speaking of being tilted. I remember nothing about that case other than I know it pissed me the hell off. But I also really liked it from a story perspective. But it pissed me the hell off. Because that one, it's like you could win the case, but you throw it because the prosecution is actually right. Well, the prosecution isn't right. But you know what I mean, right? So, but basically, what I'm saying is prosecutors don't be discerning the truth too often. And they should be interpreted to be cruel at times, then, or should they be interpreted, then so be it. There is a sticking point in Lance's testimony. Let's see what he offers up on our push a little. Well, I do remember that he said he saw their face. But if he was blindfolded, how would he have done that? Or no, he said he didn't see their face, but he knew one was a woman, right? That's another thing, speaking on the whole, why did the game say there were two kidnappers? Or like, why didn't I know that they had said that previously? It's because they don't really say it. Lance says, I can't remember the exact thing, but it's like he's, oh, what is it? It's like, I escaped, ... didn't see their face, ... 2 ... one was a woman. So it's just, they literally just used the word "to" in like a broken speech thing, and then I immediately got, you know, sent by the "one was a woman" line. But like, they don't really outright say there were only 2 kidnappers in like plain English, or like that Lance was claiming there were only 2 kidnappers. He just says the word "to" with some dots before and after.
Hold it!
Can you tell us about when you were abducted in a little more detail? It was a strange morning. I felt like I was right in the middle of a great calm. Granted, I am rich, so most days are a great calm. I don't really have to do anything. Why doesn't everyone just live like this? And where were you when you experienced this calm? Our family garden, of course. Where else could it have been? Excuse me for asking. Child's more princess than prince. What the fuck is it? What the fuck is that supposed to mean, Edgeworth? You're not beating the allegations, Edgeworth. I was out taking a walk to shake off the morning blah. Then out of the blue, someone from behind clamps a hand over my mouth. You didn't see your attacker? They must have used some drug to knock me out, and then before I knew it, I was in what they called a nonary game. Because before I knew it, I was off in La La Land again. When I woke up, I was in the kidnapper's hideout already, all tied up.
Hold it!
I don't think we have like any evidence where he... Because like him claiming there's only 2 kidnappers isn't actually a piece of evidence. Like Lance's testimony isn't a thing, right? No. By that room, you mean the room in the kidnapper's hideout, correct? And then also, how did the, just to refamiliarize myself. No, there's nothing here about the exit. Because I was trying to remember how the escape hatch worked. Like, is that something you could theoretically do while blindfolded? Assuming he's, well, let's finish the bomb, because he may say that he was able to escape his blindfold somehow. So before we operate under the assumption he's claiming that, let's finish this. I was blindfolded the whole time, so I didn't know that until I made my escape. Okay, so he's saying he was blindfolded the entire time. Then you were in the same room as your kidnappers. They spoke in hushed tones, but I could catch bits of their conversation. It was definitely 2 people, and one of them was definitely a woman. I was so scared. I could tell they were nearby, so I didn't dare make a move. How can you definitely tell there's only 2 people talking? If you can only barely hear what the fact that they're saying something. You can't even make out what the words they're saying. You can't definitively state it's only 2 voices. I'm just saying. Because, I mean, there could still be 3 people and it was only 2 people talking at the same time also.
Hold it!
The kidnappers disappeared? The room fell into a sudden silence. I had been left behind like an unwanted mutt. And what do you mean by unwanted mutt? Now you're the one that's not beating the allegations. What a pointless question. It's not like he's gonna tell you anything new, you know? It's a poetic simile. You should learn how to use them too. You may look refined on the outside, but it's no good if you're not refined on the inside as well. I do like the earlobes, like, moving. He's definitely got the earlobe gene.
Hold it!
Then those cuffs on your wrists, I suppose you are still cuffed in that case? I am well aware of how I'm chained to reality. I couldn't find the key, so I'm afraid that I'm stuck like this. I mean, I feel like you could just kind of slip your hands out. They seem to be a little too large. Even though I escaped from that jail cell, I will forever be a prisoner in mine own body. Until I transcend these human bonds.
Hold it!
How did you manage to escape? I wanted to just get out of there, but the door leading outside was locked, which is why I had to use the underground passageway to make my escape. I remember our escape to be equally as hard. This is an invaluable piece of testimony. I mustn't let it go unexamined.
Hold it!
By underground passageway, you mean the one that the staff uses to travel unnoticed? I suppose that's what it's for, but I didn't run into any staff members on my way out. Once I was up top, I was busy trying to find a member of the police. I love that Sting guy. And that is when you found us congregated at the stadium, I suppose. Let me ask you then, how did you get a hold of the keys to the underground door? That was easy. It was hanging right there in the room on the wall. I do recall a key hanging on the wall right next to the table. Boy, does that bring back memories of our situation, how we made our escape. Indeed. And although the door in the floor of our room led to an underground room, the door in the floor of the room next door had a secret passageway. A secret passageway under a theme park! Oh, that just sounds like so much fun! Oh, 1 second. Alright. Something about the way Lance made his... Yeah, there is. She couldn't do that. He couldn't do that with his eyes closed, but I don't have any evidence. I mean, my evidence is that shit doesn't make any damn sense. But there isn't anything here I can present. This thing's got shades on. That's kind of like having a blindfold. Okay, this one is gonna get me because I feel like I'm forgetting something. It was locked tight. He said he was blindfolded. It's left in the isolation room. Is the isolation room our room? I mean, I really feel like it may be the head. I don't really know why. It's just like it speaks to my soul. So I'm trying to remember, because I mean, it has been like almost 2 weeks maybe since, well, like a week and a half since we started this case. We got the... Yeah, just based on the order, we would have gotten this in our room. Alright. I'll probably get interrupted here in a little bit, but... I have no clue, man. Used to jam the hideout's door. I was hoping maybe it'd give me like a picture of the room again. So there's the R key. And that's the key for this room. I mean... Could we make the argument that that the key was already in our... I mean, there's no reason there couldn't be 2 keys. Like, the idea that there would be 2 separate keys for 2 separate rooms makes sense, but maybe that's what you're supposed to argue? That, oh, you couldn't have unlocked it because the key was in our room? That's kind of stupid. But I think that's the only thing that kind of makes any sense to me. So it's like, I don't think it's necessarily like a bad, like it makes logical sense in a way because you have like nothing else to go on, but it doesn't make logical sense like if you use your human brain cells. Like it just feels like super easily dismissed.
Objection!
Okay, that's not what he wanted. Okay. Which is fine, because I feel like it didn't make any sense, but... A loud voice, what did you say? And it's such a loud voice with evidence doesn't make any sense! You have no idea how to put two ideas together to make a logical argument. I didn't have to earlier! I very explicitly did not make a logical argument. It won't even let me... Oh, there it goes. Bring back memories of our escape. Indeed, although the door in the floor of our room led to an underground room, had a secret passageway. Secret passageway under a theme park. I wonder, is there something off about the way Lance made his escape? Well, the fact that motherfucker's blindfolded seems kind of hard, and he's handcuffed. But, like, I don't know how to point that out. I was so scared. I'm scared too. Because now I'm not going to beat the fucking allegations. I don't know what the hell's going on in this game. The head makes no sense, but the head is speaking to me, man. It is also one of the only things we haven't used. Like, we haven't used this. But this has no relation to what he's going through. The letter doesn't seem related. This, not related. I mean, the broken prop sword? I mean, he's not claiming that he entered through that door. Well... I guess you could say, how could they have left if the door was... Because this isn't like a lock you'd be able to do normally. Like, you're not going to be able to jam the sword in behind you. But I feel like the counter to that is just, oh, well, they left through the secret passageway also. But I could see the broken prop sword. But then also, it's just, I feel like you can counter it too easily. Like if this was like you were having a real conversation with a real person. Right? Which is why I feel like they're bad evidence. Because you could so easily dismiss it as like, well, maybe they came back and locked it later, right? And I guess then you could say, well, what reason would they have to lock it? Oh, well, they had to lock it because they wouldn't want people to come in and investigate their hideout. Like, see, it's too easy, man. You get caught in the fucking... You're using the bottle on Ganon's light ball, man. You're trying to play tennis with it. You know what I mean? Okay. I think this may actually be what they want.
Objection!
Actually, I do think that's a good prompt. Well, okay, I'm like half mixed, because I do think you could easily dismiss it, but it does make sense. And it's kind of... It's much better than the one right before this. Am I saying that because I figured it out? Yeah. Would I be saying the previous prompt was good if I'd figured it out earlier? No, because there's no human way you could figure that out. And if you say you did, you just got lucky. It was a divine inspiration. But you didn't arrive at your conclusion logically, that's all I'm saying. You say the door leading out was locked, but was it really? We're talking about that room behind the saloon front, right? Look, I heard it took quite a few men to get that thing open, right, Sheena? Yes, that's correct. See, she didn't say that's right because his ass is dead. Then take a look at this. What's that, a sword? It's not especially reliable one if it's broken like that. Allow me to start from the end. My conclusion is that the door was never locked. It was simply held shut by this sword, which was used to jam the handle. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, wouldn't this just support his I was blindfolded thing? Because if you're blindfolded and you try and open the door, I could see you not recognizing that, oh, it's just being held by a sword and I could remove that. Because it's probably like, you know, you kind of shamble over to the wall, try and move your hands around, find something that feels like the handle. You try and pull on it and then you're like, oh shit, it's a push door, and then you push on it, it doesn't work, and then you're like, oh no. I mean, it seems slightly unlikely that you wouldn't, because the sword would be kind of weird feeling, but I feel like you can make that argument. Lance, even though your hands were cupped together, you could still use them. If that's the case, why did you not just simply remove the sword and escape? Because he couldn't see. Now you got me playing on the wrong side, Edgeworth. That's how bad your argument is. Why didn't I? I was disoriented. Yes, that's it. I didn't notice it. As if I should accept such a bold-faced lie. I mean, he is claiming he was blindfolded. It actually makes sense. At least it makes enough sense to be like, it doesn't quite pass the smell test, but it's plausible. You locked yourself in that room because you had to make yourself look like you were the victim. But you did not, in fact, possess the key to the door. That's why you used the prop sword to improvise and create a prison of your very own. I don't know, I just feel like his logic's kind of weak, man. Like, they're not even going to bring up the blindfold? They've got to bring that up, right? Because I feel like that's the obvious counter. To being like, brother, I'd been kidnapped, I was fucking freaking out. Who knows when they were going to come back? I was panicking, plus I couldn't see shit. I didn't know what the hell I had my hands on. You've been making this guy out to be one of the kidnappers for some time now. I wonder if you've forgotten something very important along the way. And what would that be? A motive. What else? Well, I mean, I think we actually have that one. Wah, give me money. Oh no, I can't have money. What if I make a situation where you have to give me money? Do you honestly think an upright, pure boy like him? I mean, I feel like you're just making assumptions. We don't know anything about this guy. Other than that his name is Lance, and, well, that's already a mark against him, no offense. Would hatch up a completely pointless schemes to just kid. You can't do the freaking cut-ins with the... You gotta change the music when you do the cut-ins, man. Plus, I'm gonna be honest, the theme, it's not bad or anything, but it doesn't go hard enough to justify the, like, wavy motion cut-ins. What? This proves that Lance did indeed have a motive to commit the crime? I mean, there's this shit, but, like, I don't know what the fuck it... I mean, unless we're going to try and imply that he was in debt or something because he got a love letter on Tinder Linder paper. Doesn't really make sense to me, but sure.
Take that.
To put it simply, Lance is a very urgent need for money, but like, maybe he's just having a dating somebody at the bank. This is hardly your typical love letter. It is in fact a collections bill. What? You sure? I don't know where you're making this information up from, but it appears our upstanding boys accumulated quite a debt. Like, right? Like, I can't look at this, right? I mean, other than the fact that it came in the... It just seems like a big assumption. I mean, like, yeah, it does kind of like a ransom. I mean, not a ransom, but yeah, like a ransom note or I'm gonna date me or I'll murder you note. I really don't like this section. Like from like a logic and gameplay perspective, it's really bad. Or it's like way worse than the last two. Or even just like the rest of this case prior to this. They're making a bunch of leaps of logic with information we don't actually have. Or they like should be able to be countered and they're not countering them. I guess I shouldn't say it's really bad, but it does feel like I don't know what they're doing here. There's like not a logical through line for so much of this like ladder section. Isn't that right, Lance? Because I mean, it's like the prompt isn't bad per se because you've already used like every other piece of evidence at this point, so it kind of has to be this. Like it's not like it's not hard, I guess is what I should say. Even though it doesn't make any sense, it's like you arrive at the conclusion easily, but I don't know why you would make the like unbelievable assumption this is supposed to be a collections bill, or that he's in a ton of debt and would need to be ransomed, or like why couldn't he have just gotten the money from his dad anyway, you know? Sounds like it's hard being the son of a rich man too. Must be rough when you have to resort to stealing from your old man, huh? Alright, I give up. I abducted myself. Lance? Like, really? They didn't try to... Like, there's no fucking pushback, man. It's all over, Lolly. In this life, we really are bound to our fates after all. All I wanted was to go with you to a new town, somewhere where no one would know us. I wanted us to be well off with that 1 million, but now that dream is over. What about the murder? Lance. And you're giving yourself up? Well, I had planned to run away from this world with my Lolly. Oliver even helped us with the plan, but then he had to go and stab us in the back. He turned on you? Maybe he didn't want to split the ransom money, that's my guess. Happened almost right after you made the drop-off. We were alone. He attacked me of all sudden. Yeah, that was like the face of a man who's attacking you of all of a sudden. I mean, I don't know if we can use our mental images as evidence in court. I would hope not. That seems kind of problematic. If it's like, yeah, okay, good argument for why you're innocent, but I imagined you doing the crime and you really did it, so. After a brief struggle, I was able to contain him and keep him under control. We left him inside that room as Lolly and I made our escape. We wore different costumes and split up. Lolly left first in the blue badger costume. Only the person Officer Meekin saw was Miss Pops. But right then, the old man just had to wake up. Also, it kind of looks like you got like a hat on right now. You got any comment on that? I was careless and he tackled me pretty hard from behind. And Oliver put on a blue badger costume, took the suitcase with $1 million and ran. I contacted Lolly right away and warned her that he had a gun. Had no idea that they were related, so I thought that it could only end badly. I really can't believe they didn't bring up the blindfold thing. Like, it kind of pisses me off. that wasn't either mentioned, because that should have been like a multi-stage thing where it's like, A, we have to like maybe prove he didn't actually have a blindfold on or something. That feels like that makes more sense than it being like, oh yeah, we're gonna accept that you're blindfolded, but there's no way you wouldn't have not known that this door wasn't really locked. It just seems silly. That person was not my father. Because if he was, I just killed my own father. Lolly, then it really was you. Okay. So we're not gonna end the video, but I think I am gonna pause for, I don't know, like a day. Just a quick little jaunt. Be right back. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like this chapter has taken a bit of a nosedive in this last little bit. I feel like at least in terms of like the logic gameplay stuff. But we'll see. We'll see how it wraps up. I really enjoyed it for the first half at least, though. It definitely was good there, if nothing else. All right, we're back. Speak your truth, girl. The man was not my father. I mean, because at the stadium, there was a bad badger pulling the suitcase with the 1 million in it. But that badger pointed his gun at me, aiming to shoot me dead. That's why I used the gun I got from Lance. There was a gunshot. The other person crumpled to the ground, and I ran, scared for my life. I think the big picture's finally coming into focus, don't you? No, not in the slightest. Lolly, forgive me. I didn't think it would turn into something so frightening. If only I could have protected you. Please go to prison for me. So, Miss Pops, she shot her own dad without even knowing who he really was? If what she says is true. You saying she's lying? Yes. Why would she lie about something like that? What purpose would it serve? You would be surprised how often people lie without even realizing it themselves, Kay. What's that supposed to mean? What I mean is listen very carefully to her confession once more and you'll see. Yeah, that's pretty cool, Mr. Edgeworth, but you're the one who has to solve the case, not me, so if you know the answer, you should just come out and say it.
Hold it!
Please calm down and let's slowly talk through this. But all you have to do is simply tell us what happened at the stadium. Leave it to us to search out the truth. Can you do that for me? Alright, so at the stadium...
Hold it!
That was the ransom money, wasn't it? Yes, that's how I was able to identify Mr. Deacon almost immediately. There is still the question of, like, why the hell did they brain Edgeworth? Because it doesn't really seem like that did anything. I mean, I guess it's like less the person who brained Edgeworth is the one who then stole the money. Like, they wanted to make off with it by themselves. Because, in theory, the drop-off went as planned, and Edgeworth was in the process of leaving, so it's not like he would have seen anyone come pick it up. It's all thanks to what Lance told me. And what did he tell you? He called me on my cell phone and told me Mr. Deacon had betrayed us and run off with the ransom money. And about how he had a gun. Alright. He's supposed to be in the Bad Badger. The Bad Badger. And the Bad Badger was the one that was all torn up, I believe. Or was it the regular Badger? I don't know. I don't have a piece of evidence to reconfirm, so we'll never... I'm pretty sure it was the Bad Badger, because it was supposed to match the head. Yeah, because it had the gun torn off. And that's the Bad Badger. But that Badger pointed his gun at me, aiming to shoot me dead.
Hold it!
Were you able to clearly see the gun? Obviously not. I was in a fucking costume. I couldn't see shit, man. I got a very good look at it while it was pointed at me. Oh, Father, why would you try and shoot me? You really think a father would shoot his own daughter, Mr. Edgeworth? I don't know. I don't want to believe it myself. But it's true, my father's left arm was raised with a gun in it. Left arm, eh? Pointed straight at me. I'm about to die, I thought. Miss Pops, please calm down and take a deep breath. Okay, because at first I was thinking we just present the gun. and be like, well, because I mean, it looks like a gun at a glance, so I mean, that's not really a contradiction, but I thought maybe that's what they were going for. Even though it didn't really make much sense. But yeah, the left hand, because it says he's right-handed, right? And we said there was no reason to mention this unless we're going to use it later, so we'll go ahead and do the other stuff.
Hold it!
You shot Mr. Deacon. I guess in one way it's good that that previous prompt made me look at everything forever, because I probably would not have remembered this since it's been a few days since we last really looked at this, but since we had to go over it so many times because the one prompt didn't make any damn sense, it's making this one easier, assuming that's what they want. Actually, you're supposed to present your prosecutor's badge on this one, Miss Pops. Yes, I shot him. And that, as they say, is that. Agent Lang, Miss Pops is far from done. She hasn't even finished her testimony yet. You gonna continue questioning her? What a waste of time. Don't you know you got a time limit on this playthrough? You gotta finish this shit in fucking less than 2 weeks and a bit? Shouldn't you hurry up, Mr. Edgeworth? Alright.
Hold it!
Did you take off immediately following the gunshot? Yes. And you didn't attempt to approach the victim at all after he was shot. I was scared. I don't blame you. I would have done the exact same thing. Poor Miss Pops. What will become of her, Mr. Edgeworth? She seems to be telling the truth regarding what happened at the stadium. However, I don't believe it to be absolutely correct. Because, I mean, there is also the angle of, like, her gun isn't real. Which is what I think they're gonna go for, is that she did shoot him, but it wasn't actually a real shot, and the boyfriend killed the guy later. Because also the way she talks about this, it wouldn't have created that wound. But I think we start with this. Because it actually could have been that she shot the boyfriend, but it didn't do anything. Because I don't remember if they said what costume he was in, if he was supposed to be in the Bad Badger or not. Because I guess we know Dude wasn't in the Bad Badger because the Bad Badger didn't have any bloodstains. You could also, I think, you could be able to use that in theory, but since the costume isn't actually a piece of evidence, even though it probably should be.
Objection!
I have here a dossier on your father. And according to this, your father was right-handed. Then... Okay, I just had the hand wrong. Don't you know people hallucinate when in high-stress intervals and create false memories? I mean, hallucinate's not the right word, but... That's another one where you could just be like, oh, did I say left hand? I meant right-handed. Obviously, he was shooting with his right hand. It doesn't make much sense for me to say his left hand, or I was just mistaken. You know? The person pointing a gun at you from atop the stage was not Mr. Deacon. Hold on there, Mr. Prosecutor. I know you think you need to take a refresher course. The Bad Badger has a model gun attached to his right hand, which is why the only hand he could have held the real gun in was with his left. Isn't it possible it went down like that? Well, then she would say he had two guns, man. Agent Long, were you paying attention to what Miss Pops was saying? Then again, I suppose I can't expect someone who has never set foot in court to catch it. Enough with the smugness, out with it already. Miss Pops told us earlier. There was a Bad Badger pulling the suitcase with $1 million in it. And according to you, the Bad Badger had the gun in his left hand, which would mean he was pulling the suitcase with his right hand. Is that correct? Yeah, sure, maybe. I don't really remember it that well. It was kind of a stressful experience. I thought I was gonna get shot. I'm sure it was the Bad Badger. It had those huge sunglasses on its face. If that's the case, even I can see there's a huge contradiction. Yes, Miss Pomps claims to have seen the bad badger. And yet the bad badger had both of his hands full. These two pieces of information contradict each other, so one must be wrong. Well, so here's the thing. It's not both are correct, but also I'm not entirely sure it wasn't the bad badger. Because if the gun had already been removed, that's not a contradiction. Because we don't know when this was ripped from the costume. So let's think. Both hands were not occupied. I mean, I feel like that's correct. But it could be the bad badger, and both hands could be occupied. And when we say both are correct, do we mean both of these are correct? Like, I know that sounds stupid, but are we saying the two previous pieces of information are correct? Like, are we saying it was the bad badger and both hands were occupied? Is that what we're saying? We're saying both are correct? Or are we saying it wasn't the bad badger and both hands were not occupied? You get what I'm going for, right? That, like, this is kind of ambiguous. My assumption is that they're saying these two phrases is what they're referring to. But if I hit both are correct and this motherfucker says, you know, says the opposite, I would be a little annoyed, but kind of get it. Because, like, I don't think it was the bad... Well... Because, I mean, I feel like it was the bad badger costume, but the gun had already been ripped out. And that was what got handed to Girly? So the phrase, it was the bad badger, and both hands were occupied, is what I believe. Which is kind of what both are correct means. That's my line of reasoning. They are both correct. Impossible! That is just an insolvable contradiction! Miss Pop's entire statement rests on the fact that she saw his sunglasses and beard. But what if the bad badger wasn't wearing pants on his lower half? What? I don't even remember what they... Oh, I guess they're saying that they was using the head? Okay. That's not what I was going for, but that does make sense that they were using the head on another body. This proves there was a way for the bad badger to freely use, but so I accidentally got the right thing there. But no, that does make sense. I didn't even think about that, honestly.
Take that!
The costumes have two parts to them, a head and the body, which I will, to give a compliment, having a prompt that, like, you can logic yourself into in two different ways, that's actually pretty good. The costumes have two parts to them, a head and the body. I get it now! The head Miss Pop saw was probably really the head of the bad badger. However, is it not possible the body was that of an entirely different badger? But also, like, we already know the gun got removed at some point. A different badger? I feel like you're starting to badger me with all these freaking complexities to the case. Yeah, so to put it more bluntly, I believe it was the lower half of this badger. I don't know if it's proto or blue. Because, I mean, Blue Badger is closest. I don't know if they told us what she was wearing. Because she couldn't have been in the pink. Because it got left behind. So she was, I don't remember if they told us if she was in the Blue Badger or the Proto Badger. So I feel like they probably did tell us, and I just don't remember. Wasn't wearing pants. I mean, I'm leaning towards Proto just because since he doesn't have anything. Well, maybe Blue? Is she Blue or is she I mean, I don't know. It's gotta be one or the other.
Take that!
His head may have been the Bad Badger, but his body was the Blue Badger's. The Blue Badger? Hold on, let's see here. Who had one of these on? I did. Fuck! You can't expect me to remember. It's been fucking 72 hours, man. So did Officer Meekin's pal. Yeah, whatever. I mean, that one's a little bullshit. Because it's not in my planner. Right? Anytime they expect me to use evidence that's not in my planner, that's a failure. Yeah, Stripe got us up from the... I mean, it's just a 50-50 shot. There was no way I was going to remember that.
Take that!
The heck is it? It's the Proto Badger. Yes, and it's a simple matter of process of elimination. Miss Pops is wearing the Blue Badger costume, so we can eliminate that one. Yeah, sorry, I didn't fucking remember. Because they don't even... I'm pretty sure they don't even say. They just show you the... I mean, I know they show you the picture of them putting the costumes on, but... I don't remember that. It's been like 2 or 3 days. Was that in this video? Or was that last video? That was in this video, but that was like 48 hours ago, so. And the pink badger is of the wrong color, which would have been incredibly obvious. All that's left is the Proto Badger costume. I almost clicked Proto Badger first, too. I don't really know why I changed my mind. Who was it, the one that wore the Proto Badger costume? That would be Lance. Are you saying what I think you are saying? That Lance Amano donned the Bad Badger's head and pretended to be Mr. Deacon? On top of which he plotted to shoot Miss Pomps while wearing that hideous thing? The stage that was set up in the stadium was nothing more than a setup. And its purpose was to lead Miss Pomps into believing that she had committed murder. Standing there in front of Miss Pomps and pretending to be the victim? It was all done so that she would pull the trigger. I have no idea what you're talking about. Why exactly would I have done all that, huh? I honestly got no fucking clue. There's but one reason, Lance Amano. You are the real culprit behind the murder of Mr. Oliver Deacon. No, we meant like, why would he kill him? No. That's slander. To take it back, you take it back right now. Just out of curiosity, Lance, which is your dominant hand? I'm ambidextrous. Totally. I'm left-handed. What does that have to do with anything? It depends. According to Miss Pops, her attacker held a gun in his left hand. Who's what-handed doesn't prove a damn thing. And besides, now you're just being plain up upset. It's not like the Proto Badger's bulletproof. One misfire and he would have found himself dead, right?
Objection!
Of course. Logically, he'd been shot, he probably wouldn't be here with us. I believe he had thought of that as well and prepared accordingly. This should be all the evidence you need.
Take that!
This gun! We found one half of a Bad Badger costume in a hideout, a broken one. It was not the same one the victim was wearing, plus it was missing something. And that something is the model gun that the Bad Badger carries, which can fire blanks. What? Miss Pomps, where is the... Okay, so I guess that's what... It's none... The Bad Badger costume we found was not one of the ones... Or one of the 8. It was just like an older one that was just sitting around. Because that was another reason why I was going for that whole, it couldn't have been the Bad Badger costume, because, you know, there's no bloodstains, or that couldn't have been what the victim was wearing, because there was no bloodstains on it. But I guess they're trying to say it's a separate one from the 8 that we were talking about. I threw it away in the sea. Oh, where's the gun? That makes it a bit tough to verify what it was, although I believe that we can safely assume that it was the model gun in question. Yeah, just assume the thing that makes me right. I mean, I've heard enough. All you've been spouting so far is pure conjecture. That's what a prosecutor does. Same with it. Honestly, it's what all lawyers do. In this universe, I couldn't even tell you a law if my life depended on it. I admit that as long as the model gun is lost to us, I can't prove I'm right. Not that I'd want to be him. Not that I'm desperately trying to be him. Not that I recruited a child sidekick in order to emulate him or nothing. However, I can say the probability that I am right is very high. Let's pretend you're right, and that the murder at the stadium was a fabrication. Ayo, Nick! In which case, do you think the murder really took place, Mr. Prosecutor? I don't know yet. Heh, I knew you were full of it. I do believe the murder took place during an earlier time frame. But wait a second, it's simply not possible. Because I saw Mr. Deacon after he was restrained by Lance. You saw the victim in a state of being restrained. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. We are going to end the video here, unless the case ends in like 20 minutes. Then we will keep going. Alright? So either goodbye or hello!